You guys just keep saying Fred Durst. I just keep thinking about when I was watching the Woodstock '99 doc about how it was so bad, and he was like the last guy to play before it just exploded.
Yeah, parts of the music video was filmed September 2000 atop the South Tower, the original World Trade Center in New York City. They released the video in 2001, a year later, and they said that video was everywhere, and then all of a sudden 9/11 happened, and yeah, actually I could be wrong, maybe because let me read this one. This one says that no, it was released after, it was released way before that. But yeah, regardless, I still think it's kind of a trip that, like, they were saying that how popular that video was, and then all, like, it was everywhere. MTV had it on like every 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden 9/11 happened. No more.
Made things uncomfortable for everybody.
Yeah, dude, that's weird though.
That's what Limp does.
Especially for
uncomfortable for people.
Especially for Jay. Jay gets very uncomfortable around Fred Durst.
Oh, that guy.
So I see that you already hit the record button.
Is that like his real hair and shit now?
I think so.
Well, I didn't want to miss any of the Limp Bizkit talk.
Well, you could have just said when we're going to start, and I could have just started all over again. I'm a plethora of random information.
Oh, I feel like I share that sentiment.
Only when it comes to Limp Bizkit.
No, not just Limp Bizkit. There's a bunch of other random shit.
Oh. All right. Well, I'm going to roll our intro and then get things moving. Let it
Andre, have you seen our intro?
I was gonna say, I feel like I've missed so much. I always listen to it on Spotify. I missed so much not watching the podcast.
Yeah, well, the people that only listen, they get to miss out on that gem. Jay was very proud of himself when he sent us that. At first, I thought it was a rendering / like demo, like, hey, look what I can mess around with online. And no, that's our legit video intro now.
That's our intro. Yeah.
He changed my name to Fred Durst.
$23.
Oh yes, he did.
I just noticed that. I'm like sitting going like, wait a second. I know I entered in Adam.
Dude, I've been laughing about that for like 10 minutes now. Waiting for you to say it. Fred Durst. Timu Fred Durst.
So, anybody that listened to the last episode, just a little background. I totally did this out of my left ass cheek, and I went and grabbed one of the only red hats that I have, and put it on backwards just for Jay, because he hates Limp Bizkit.
Hate's a strong word. I would say more like despise.
Despise, hate.
What was it? Clayton Bigsby from Chappelle Show. Hate in your heart, let it out.
A strong disliking, loathe.
I like disenjoyer.
You remind me of like when the Grinch, Jim Carrey Grinch, was like going through all his words. Yeah, I could see that. Your connection is horrible.
Man, this island is crazy.
You're just giving
there's no 7-Elevens.
and he was just giving the duck lips for like 10 seconds.
Dude, I didn't notice the duck lips. The intro even play for you guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was rad. Dragon.
It did. Oh, it was super choppy and frozen on my end.
Oh no, it looked good. It was smooth.
What's going on? Yeah, it was like weird. It was totally unwatchable on my end.
No, it was good on our end. Well, depending on your definition of good.
Yeah, well, that's usually everything working is my definition of good, which tonight I get to be the chosen one to have issues. It kind of like has a cycle, it seems like.
I mean,
like
I did break the camera mount before we even started.
That's true. Yeah, I guess you kind of set the tone.
No, it's because Travis isn't here. So Travis had the horrible connection last time, and I passed it on to you.
Yeah.
So
it's so weird. I mean, it's like, why would it be different one week and then completely different the next? I don't know.
Did you not pay your bill?
I don't know. Anyways, no. I mean, it's working barely.
Yeah, you see, it seems a lot
so
better now.
For those of you, oh yeah, it's because you were breaking up a little bit too. I don't understand. Anyways, thank you everybody for joining us. This is episode 125, and we are here with Adam and Andre from SMS. How's it going, dude?
It's going good. It was building stuff and things, it's good. Just got back, or not just got back, but
nice.
We did Axialfest, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Axialfest Badlands.
How'd that go? What was that like?
Yeah, I was right into it.
The Badlands, yeah, that was fun. It was a different experience than last year, even though it was the same thing. But this year, I've been where I'm at a little bit longer now. So I moved from SoCal to where I am in Indiana. So I've got a few RC friends now. And one of my buddies from the local group here, Alex, he was like, "Hey, you want to run in the side-by-side?" Because they do a 1-to-1. Basically, it's just running around in side-by-sides. There was no trucks or anything. It was all razors and stuff, but you got to cruise around the park, which was super cool because I guess you get to go places that are normally closed. So I get to see a lot of the park. All I've done is the RC stuff there. I haven't done anything at the off-road park, but if you guys aren't unfamiliar with Badlands, it's pretty epic for what it is, which is just go and have fun. It's a lot different than what I came from. California, the BLM land, which is just do what you want. This is do what you want in a specific spot, but it was super cool. That part was fun, and then just like the whole setup, the vibe is always fun out there. It was really hot this year. There's a lot of people, I was just like handing out waters. I'm like, you look like you're dying here.
Now
have a water, hang out.
Yeah, describe extremely hot because I know most of the country's been getting hit with the heat wave. Some places worse than others. We actually just recently had triple digit and like high triple digit weather over here on the West Coast. So what was it like there?
Well, I got there Wednesday, and I got a heat advisory warning on my phone nonstop until Saturday. It was just kind of miserably dry and dusty. It was like right between these weird rain spells too. Like we had a lot of rain before, and there was rain like Saturday night. So it was just the dust factor too was added to the dryness, and yeah. But
wow,
it was all right. It was good. They had a pretty good turnout. It was cool to see Operation 11 Charlie doing so good out there too. They did a lot of raffles out there and stuff, and they raised a bunch of dough. So that's cool. That's one of the organizations that I support too. I usually build a truck every year and send it their way. Try to help out however we can.
Yeah,
with the vets, but
I'm excited. I'm excited to see Javier. Got about a week to go, and I got his pro is like 99% done. All I got to do is program the remote and then ask him what he wants me to do with the body, and then it's pretty much ready to roll.
Yeah, I remember that you said that he had, or not that you said, not that you told me, but I remember hearing that you said you got his truck to build. That's cool, man.
Yeah. It was actually.
What are you building for Axialfest?
What am I building for Axialfest? Nothing really.
Yeah, I'm sure you got something. Nothing.
Oh, actually, you really want to see what it is? I'm gonna get the 124th Suburban swapped over to some. I got some boggers for it, some white wagon wheels, and I'm upgrading the servo, doing a couple little things, adding a little weight to it. That's really all I'm doing. Only because I got my arm twisted by Elio because I guess he was up there 2 weekends ago. The last weekend of June, he was up there cutting trail, and he was telling me that they actually have a really cool 124th scale trail this year. And he's like, I got cool. That. He's got some 124th Ford that he just finished, and he's working on a little crawler. And so he's like, dude, you got to bring one of your 124s. And I'm like, well, the only thing I really have that's like ready to go is the JL. Yeah, that's what I'm staring at right now, the JL. And then I was like, I have the Suburban, but I've just never done anything with it. And he's like, you got to get the Suburban up and running and make it a better crawler. Because when that first got swapped over, it was literally just I forget what the model is, but that's just a model Suburban body just slapped on. And actually, Elia did a pretty good job. I got to hold the front end because I already took the servo.
It looks really good.
Yeah, one of those Rydell models or something, right?
What was that?
I think that's what it was. Is it like a Rydell model?
I think that's what it is, Rydell. But he did a pretty good job. He put magnets, and it still uses the actual hinge, so you can still hinge it back, and then you just magnet the front down. And,
oh, cool.
Nice.
But, yeah, so I was like, yeah,
dude,
I
that
never
thing's
really,
rad.
Yeah, never really did anything with it. So I'm like, all right, let's get that going. But that's pretty much it. And then I got to get the rear steer servo put on the Capra / square body Chevy, and that's pretty much it. I actually, it's pretty sad, and Andre pretty much called me out on it now. I have not done a Axialfest build probably in like 4 or 5 years.
Oh man.
I've never. I mean, like I remember
back. Got 6 days, right? 6 days. Got time.
No, I don't got time. I'm trying to think what the last like actual specific like Axialfest build that I did. I really don't know. I mean, because last year I was hurrying up to get the.
And we were talking about your leaf spring build thingy that you were working on. I think it was a replica, right?
Like,
maybe.
Yeah, that one that's like the slow boat to Chinatown. Yeah, that's all. That one's still in the works. I haven't really sat down to really figure it out. I got you sent me the
slow boat.
Yeah, you sent me the frame extenders. I put those on and I set the body where like kind of like how I want it, sort of, but I haven't made any body mounts for it yet because I need to get the front axle located, then I can work off of that. So once I finally figure all that out, then I'm good to go.
Nice. Oh, I know about slow boat builds. I finally had a big one done for Axialfest. So my Trail Mater build
Nice.
that I'm doing for a dude that lives out in Cincinnati. I had that finally on the table, complete,
Nice.
ready to drive. That took, dude, this was almost like 2 years. Deal.
Oh, dude, that's nothing. I've had builds that have taken literally like 3 to 4 years. Like my buddy's FJ, I built that thing over like he was really rush, and when do I have time in between other stuff I was doing for myself? And I finally just sat down one day and was like, I got to get this thing done because I'm tired of staring at it. So, but yeah, that was a slow build. And also the other part of it too is it's just pretty much figuring out what axles I want to run, because every time I kind of get set on something, Axial or somebody comes out with another axle,
something new, right?
like so much better than what I'm using. So now I'm like, all right, what do I do? So plus, like I have a buddy of mine who's been sitting on my axles for almost 2 years now. I gave him a set of
the SSDs.
The SSD super.
We were talking about SSDs that had the offset, right?
So he was going to make the custom offset. So he took the tubes out, and he was actually taking metal tubes, and they were machining the ends, and they were going to press them in and then drill and tap everything together, and then that way he could weld your mounts to the tube. And I told him the easiest would probably be make it the same like width, like where the or not width, but where the perches sit. Like if you were to bolt them up on a normal axle, I was like, make it the same width, so that way it's not going to be some weird funky setup underneath, because he's got one of his rigs was sitting on some of the SSD, not the maybe they're like the Trail King, something like that, but he had them sitting on that. So I was like, just copy that spring perch width and just whenever you weld them. But he hasn't gotten around to finishing them. He sent me a picture of the tubes in there, but he hasn't welded any of the perches or the shock tabs to it yet.
Yeah, probably the Trail King. The Trail King is what comes with the offset axle housing, right?
Yeah. So I do have a set of the Trail King axles that were underneath my SCX 10.3 when they didn't offer the non portal axle, and then they came out with the straight axle kit. So I swapped that on there, and then I was like, all right, what am I going to do with these axles? And I was like, well, maybe I'll build the truck around these, but that's also my other hesitation is if I build it around that and those SSDs come out looking really good, I'm going to be like mad if I have to like reconfigure the whole thing just to get those things to bolt underneath.
Well, I guess he should make his judgments based on the axles that you have, AR45. Those AR45s, dude, the straight axles, I put a beating on. I mean, I run it on the Whoopacabra, the pre-runner that I'd send with way too much power. And I have not had any issues with those. I have had some issues with some other, axles and stuff and bearing failures and pinion failures, but I've been really surprised. Just like I bought the $100 straight axle kit at Axialfest because it was $100. It was, $60 off or whatever. I think I bought 2 of them, maybe 3. I don't know. But dude, no problems ever with those as far as putting power and, abusing.
Nice. Yeah, so that's really kind of like been it as far as getting any kind of build ready for Axialfest. Yeah. So I'm just counting down the days. Like I said, I got a minor things to do. I should be able to finish out this little guy, I don't know, in probably one night if I just sit there and mess with it. The only thing I'm mad about is I forgot when I placed my order for my servos to order the metal servo horn, so I might have to run my servo on a plastic horn until I can get a metal one, because I don't know if there's enough time for Thomas to send me one.
Black Sharpie over white horn it is.
I spray painted it already. So.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
It's like all my 24s is, Sharpie horns.
You don't even know that that's plastic. It looks like a nice
there
piece
you go.
of
Never going to know.
Well, I guess I learned the hard way. So when I placed my order from A-Main, I don't know where I put them now. They're over here.
Well, you're super close to A-Main. I'm sure you get it really fast, huh? Chico's pretty close to you, right?
Yep. I placed the order. Was it Sunday night? No, Monday night. I placed the order and it was here today. So so like a day-ish out on the road. But I ordered, which maybe we can do something like a little different. Maybe I'll throw these up like for our Patreon listeners or something like that. So I ordered these Triel FCX 24 servo horn because I was like, well, that's for the Emax servo, and I was like, which is the upgrade that everybody runs on these guys, and I was like, okay, I'll just order those. And it's not the same. It's actually the Emax must run a smaller horn size because it does not fit on my MKS that I run on all my 24s. So I was like, well,
you got a better servo on there. The MKS is a better servo. That could be part of it.
Yeah, but also because MKS is known for, they run, I guess you could say like not traditional size stuff, like their micro servos actually have a pretty big horn, and I do know that servo's got like I want to say it's like a 80, it's like 85 or 90. They do it by it's kilogram or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's weird.
Whatever the weird one is, and the Emax is only like 60 or something like that. So I do know it's a better servo as far as strength. So I think that's why it's got a bigger servo horn. But they have the same thing with one of their other mini servos. It's an actual standard size servo horn. So like when you use it for a shift servo, you actually have to like modify a normal servo horn to get it to fit in that area, because normally all the other brands, they use a smaller spline.
Yeah. So MKS does a full-size spline on a micro servo?
Not a micro, it's a mini.
Mini servo.
It's the one I have in here. Actually, it's sitting in the box over there. I won't. It's too much of a pain in the ass to grab it.
I don't know. It's just curious to me because I do the Baja Bug mini kit, and I'm like,
the shift servo. Yeah, the shift servo that I use, the DS97, the DS97. Yeah, that one uses a little bit bigger servo horn, if I'm not mistaken. And then same with they got a bigger servo. They call it a mini servo, but it's not. It's the HV69, I believe, or DS69. I'm really bad at all the numbers. That one uses the 6mm standard, but that servo is also bigger because I have that in my Capra, and I actually had to re-modify where that shift servo sits because it was so much bigger. I had to like set it in there almost at like a 22-degree angle versus like the parallel where it's supposed to be. But yeah, I love all my MKS servos. I just wish I was like more up on top of all the numbers because
all the item numbers and names.
Because I'm good with the ones I run the most, like my DS 1220, my HBL 599, the HBL 559 SL, which is the slim one. That's the one I run in the Pro, which is the same one that I'm putting in Javier's Pro, just because it's the slim line, so it's short. It's like this guy right here.
Oh, it's like the half case one or whatever.
Like a low profile. Yeah.
So it's not cool. This one. This is the HBL 55 LX. This one's a great servo for other applications. When this first came out, I was running it in the Capra as a rear steer, and it finally crapped out on me just because I think it's only like a 185 ounce servo, but yeah, and it just asking a lot on a rear steer. So that's more of like a smaller car or like an on-road kind of car if you're going to do steering. But yeah, and then obviously I got a couple of the big guys over here. I got these guys.
And you're running on the slabs up there, right? I mean, you've trailed on like the Rubicon, so you have a lot of traction. So yeah, that's a lot of work. So especially then, incline, all the extra weight on the rear too. Yeah.
Then like the HBL 380 with the big old spline. So this one actually, because if you actually were to hold up, this is like what you'd normally find on a 10th scale car, and this is the same 10th scale, but you could just see that the spline size is significantly bigger.
I didn't know that about MKS. Do they have like their own proprietary horns that they sell?
No, they actually yes. So for this guy, their X8 line, all the ones that say X8, they do. Mm-hmm. They actually sell a hub. I actually have it here. I have it right here. If I can get this guy out, I don't make a mess of all my other miscellaneous stuff that I have just sitting up here. Okay, so this is the hub. So this little silver guy right here. I don't know if I have anything that I can point better with, but this little silver ring closest, that's the hub. Then you bolt the servo horn onto that.
Oh, okay. I wondered how that works. I've seen those before. I don't know.
Yeah, so
super beefy.
Yeah. So like I have one of these guys on my on the Rift. I have it on my monster truck.
I was gonna say that would be dope on the Rift and the monster truck. That would be perfect.
Exactly. It's like it looks like monster truck. You don't run a servo saver on your Rift?
No.
I get. How do you operate your Rift? Do you go fast? I'd be scared that I'd toast, the servo and break the whole. I sheared a screw head off.
No, so actually, that servo. I don't want to be misquoting anything, so I'm actually going to go on their website real quick. But no, if I'm not mistaken, the HBL. So that's the 380. I got the HBL 3850 on my Rift, and that thing's got some monster torque.
Big specs. Yeah, I was running like one of those cheapy like $7 Savox servos while I was waiting to get my Reach 900 for my Rift to prep the car for the Scale Ultra at Badlands. And one of the times I was running it, I sheared the bolt head off. I haven't sheared the head of the screw off of something before. I was like, oh, better get a servo saver with that 900,
Yeah, so I ran the Trio servo saver on my Rift and the monster truck. I was pretty happy with those. They're strong, the spring strong. They're not sloppy.
So I don't know if you could run a servo saver on the X8. You could probably run it on the X6, but the X8 line,
because of that special spline that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So like I have the 3850, which is a almost 800 ounce. It's a 791 ounce servo. They do also have the HBL 388, which is a 944 ounce servo. But I do think that case is a little bit bigger than those two. But yeah, but like if you're to go in the X6 lineup, the biggest one they have is the HBL 599, which I do run in. I've run in my Wraith. It's 583 ounces, but that gives you the standard. So that's kind of why I wouldn't go that route with the Rift, because you're still, only around 600 ounces.
Yeah.
But yeah. So MKS does, like I said, so for some of their stuff, they do sell their own servo horns that go with it. And that's what's a little, I'll be honest, being an MKS, kind of, I'm also assistant team manager. It is a little frustrating, the fact that like all their micros, they don't give you an actual what size this is. So you can't just get any of the other readily available servo horns. You kind of just,
it's not like straight up like 23 tooth, 24 tooth, 25 tooth.
Not with the micros. At least I haven't found one yet that's just straight up. But which actually, like I said earlier, it's kind of good because that you're getting a better product because it's a larger surface. And if you're buying just the standard one, which I did for like the Emax one, it's a smaller servo horn, so it doesn't fit. So yeah, so like I said, maybe we'll do like a Patreon giveaway or something like that. I don't know if anybody else is running, micro stuff, SCX 24s, whatnot, or the what's the other one? Traxxas TRX4M or whatever the hell it is.
TRX4M18.
Yeah, that one.
All the numbers and letters.
But yeah, all in all, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got.
Nice. We're going back to Axialfest Badlands now?
Go back to Axialfest Badlands.
Well, the Rift was what reminded me. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I got my hands on a Rift. I bought one from I bought a Rift from RC Amigos, Pablo, to do the Scale Ultra, as I hosted the Scale Ultra last year, and I did it again this year. So I go out and I map out the course. And between last year and this year too, they gave the RC like area was almost doubled from the quarry that we had to go to, or the quarry section we're allowed to use last year, which is obviously going to be, in my opinion, the best place to do, the ultras on the rocks, off the rocks, up and down. It's basically like a big bowl, right? So I was just kind of like running the rim, and we would like run up into the trees and stuff. And for the most part, everybody seemed pretty stoked on the course. There's a few people that were more runners like myself, and they would have liked to like disappear into the woods and then come back and only done a couple of laps. But it was super fun though. I was really excited to see how much more we had to work with when it came to the Scale Ultra event. I'm gonna try to do another one too here, a little bit north of us. I think it's Wisconsin. I'm not sure exactly. But there were some people that ran it last year, and they do trials bikes, Jay. And I guess they own the land or have access to the land or something like that. So they do the trials biking like school training thing there, and they also do some other activities. But the people that do that did the Scale Ultra, and now we've been trying to get another one of those going over there.
Oh, cool.
That should be
Right
cool.
on.
But
Nice.
The sure fun events.
that was really the only event thing that I did. I walked some of the trails, but for the most part, I was back at the booth at Axialfest. But I did get to see the rock racing. My wife and son came out, Max and Dolly, on Friday. So they had just missed the rock or the Ultra 4, sorry, the Scale Ultra, but they were there for like the rock bouncing and stuff. So they got to see that. That was cool.
Right.
Nice. Being that you have been to both the West Coast and the Badlands Axialfest, could you give any kind of like a, I guess, comparison, like, good or bad? And then maybe,
Oh, for sure.
like, which one do you prefer, or is there not a preference? And, kind of just go from there.
Well, unfortunately, I never got to go to Cisco. I did go to Donner. Donner was rad. The camping sucked, but the terrain was rad, and having to walk up the hill was kind of not as cool. But so I went to Donner, and I've been to Rob's resort which was a nice camping facility. But I don't know. The year that I went was maybe the second year,
No, was
or maybe it was the first year. So I know that they're still feeling things out as far as like the terrain and trails and stuff. But I really like the Badlands setup out here, to be honest.
You brought up a very good point. Rob's has been at Rob's since
21, right? Oh, 22.
22, 23.
So then, yeah, I went the first year because after Axialfest in 22, I started driving east towards Indiana.
Yeah.
So that was their first year. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Why it was a little bit weird.
Because if I'm not mistaken, 2018 was the last year at Cisco. 2019 was the first year at Donner. 2020 they canceled due to obvious reasons, and then 21 was back at Donner for the final time. Then it switched. 22 would have been Rob's, and then last year obviously 23 would have been Rob's. So it's been at Rob's. So this will be the third year. And they do make it a point to say that like this most likely is going to be the home of Axialfest West moving forward. I don't know if it's going to change any of like the, I don't know. I don't want to be too mean, but like, the crybabies that keep saying, oh, Axialfest will never be the same until it goes back to Cisco. But Cisco's in such turmoil that like, I was
like, Cisco's never going to happen again. Right. I remember talking to somebody at a gas station and they were like, yeah, they shut it all down to everybody. They're messing up the land. And
that was like one of those like hot dumpster fires that happened like rather quickly. And it was like actually really sad.
That's kind of what it sounded like. I was like, oh, that doesn't sound good.
No, and it was really sad because 2018, the final year, and at the time we didn't know it was gonna be the final year, but the new owners who bought Cisco Grove, the old owners told them, you need to come up and witness like this event, because I'll tell you right now, this event is going to be your moneymaker. We like damn near sell out every year. There we sell a ton of firewood, food, the fact that you have admission, all this stuff. Like we get so much traffic that like you need to see this. So the new owners were there. They even brought them up on stage when we were doing the award ceremonies and stuff, just to kind of like say, hey, these are the new owners, yada, yada, yada. And everybody seemed kind of excited, like, okay, cool. Like, Cisco's going to have a new owner. It's going to keep going. Then 2019 happened, and we're getting closer and closer and closer to when they normally announce that Axialfest is going to happen. And everyone kept going, what's going on? There's been we're going into May almost, and no one's announced anything about an Axialfest. And then all of a sudden it was released saying that Axialfest was going to be at Donner. And of course that started the immediate, this everyone going, what about Cisco? What about Cisco? Yeah, all this, that, and the other. And nobody really said anything about what happened with Cisco. Then rumors were flying like, Axial didn't want to shell out the money. Now that Axial's with Horizon didn't want to shell out the money. Like nobody had like an actual answer. And then it finally got announced. I don't know if it was Randall or Ziegler. Like it was somebody from Axial or Rich. They announced finally, because they just wanted all the craziness to stop. They were like, look, Cisco did not, with the whole new ownership, they did not get back to us in time. We sat on it. They didn't get back to us. We had to look for another venue. Donner's willing to do it. We're going to Donner. And that's where Donner, got their run. And then, obviously we had COVID, so they canceled that Axialfest, and then it was back in 21. And then the whole Rob's Resort thing was kind of like a curveball, because I think everybody.
But they like it, right? Rob's Resort is into the RC part, right?
Rob's Resort.
There's permanent amenities for RC now, right?
Yes, they are all about it. The owner actually wants, like, he's encouraging, and like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but like he's encouraging that like there be more events, happening up at Rob's, just because he's investing.
Is that where Elio's doing the scale challenges? I know Elio's doing some events. Somewhere up there, right? Oh, okay.
No, so he's done it. So he's done it at Folsom. He's done it at part of the Fordyce Trail, which is right behind Cisco. He's done it at where's the other place? We've done it at Donner, which we're actually going back to Donner in August, end of August. But yeah, so no, he hasn't done it at Rob's, and I'm not sure if that's, you know, a future plan. You know, it'd be nice. But for now, he's, you know, we're just going to places that we can, like, as a group. When I say we, the whole group of us that kind of make up Scale Challenge West, we all kind of put in our own money for some of these venues, because, like, for instance, Donner, they charge. So last event that we had there, it was $800, and so we all pitched in so that way we could cover the fee and had the event there. But yeah, so no, Rob's is awesome as far as like I said, the terrain's getting better. They're bringing in more rock. They're cutting in trail. And the owner is like all about like, what can I do to make it better? Like, he brings in, I don't know how many porta potties during the week of Axialfest. And then, you know,
and it'll sound weird. My favorite part at Rob's was the epic outdoor shower setup they had. It was awesome.
And then they have the outdoor shower. So he brings in all the stuff to do the showers. It's pretty crazy how much like he's investing into this for like one event. Because the only other event that I know that happens at Rob's now is what's the full size Jeep one? Cantina for the Con. Cantina for the Con is held there now, which is kind of weird because I remember going to Cantina and it was always at Rubicon. It was always at the what is that entrance? Drawing a blank now. Loon Lake. Always at the Loon Lake spillway. So kind of the start where Gatekeeper and all that stuff is always where they had it. So then like to hear that they moved out to Rob's is a little weird. Only for the fact that, you know, it's about
8 miles away from the Rubicon.
Not really. It's like it's about 8 miles away from the Rubicon ish, 8 or 10 miles, something like that. And so it's just kind of weird. So it's like you're there, you're hanging out, you're doing all the barbecuing and the vendors and whatever, and then you hop in your rig and you go drive 8 miles, 10 miles down
then you guys convoy the trail. Okay.
Yeah.
But Rob's is a cool place to stay for sure. That's what I liked about that over Donner. It's just the camping situation. We were just camping in the parking lot at Donner.
Because Donner, I mean, it's a ski resort. So
yeah, exactly. You know, people are camping there. They're staying.
Yeah, no, they're usually
Airbnb.
Like in winter. You're there to go, you know, you're going skiing, snowboarding, and then you're getting in your car and you're going back to your lodge or, you know, cabin, whatever. So it's not really like a camping place. Whereas like Cisco was a camp resort. Rob's is a camp resort. So it's more of, you know, camping is kind of like, you know, more.
That's what's cool with the Badlands. They have full hookups, like Vendor Row. We're all, you know, we all have full hookups on Vendor Row. So that's nice.
Nice.
Awesome.
They don't have as cool as showers. Like I said, the Rob's outdoor showers.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody from Axialfest is listening. Horizon, you guys, the outdoor showers at Rob's, you should have those at Badlands. See if you can make that happen.
It means a lot to some people because it's like, it's nice getting into, you know, having a nice warm shower after you've been in the hot, dusty, you know, atmosphere of, you know, the mountains. And in that case, you're out, I don't want to be like downsize it, but like the plains, whatever you want to call it, out east. But yeah, same thing. You don't want to be out in the dust and grime and then.
Yeah. Oh, remember you asked about how hot was it? It was so hot. I was watering the dirt in front of my booth. It was so hot and dusty. We'd catch a breeze and we get a little bit of the evaporation, but oh god, it was miserably hot.
Yeah,
that was a reminder right now when you said, "Oh, nice warm shower." Oh, that's right. I was hosing the dirt.
Yeah,
every day.
I'm hoping next weekend's not too brutal because this past weekend.
Well, you guys got fires too, don't you?
Yeah.
Isn't there some fires burning up there too?
Honestly, I don't know how close they are to Rob's, but there's a lot farther north, like closer to Shasta and in Sonoma County. There's quite a bit.
Well, the last Donner one, I remember Sunday, like the cloud shifted over Donner on the last day. You could see it coming. That was 21 though?
So yeah, that was 21. Yeah, because I know Matt from A Main, he was texting me pictures. They were getting ready for evacuation beginning of last week, right before the 4th, I think. Yeah.
This is
So
recently.
yeah, this is recently. This was like last
Yeah, right
Monday.
now.
So
Yeah, right now.
yeah, there's
That's-
a lot going on. But it was crazy because, like I said, there were so many towns and cities in California that were hitting triple digit record weather this past 4th of July weekend. I know there was parts up at like Anderson and up by Shasta that were hitting like 118, 119, just like unheard of for like that. Like I think like the hottest it's ever been up there is like 111, 112, and they're like, yeah, they hit 119. I mean, like there was just
Dude,
this
that's
crazy.
terrible. That's like Phoenix, Arizona weather.
It's
Yeah, it's like I've ridden
Death
bikes in
Valley.
Arizona like that. It wasn't too bad because it was, nice and dry, but I don't know what the humidity is out there. That was 118.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, it was bad because I even know because like so we were in Auburn for the 4th and it hit 108 on Friday. It was like 106 on Thursday and it was 108 on Friday. And it was just like it was so nasty out that like you could feel like off the lake, you could feel the humidity coming off just because of how hot it was. So
That sucks.
yeah, it was pretty bad. So like I mean, because we woke up Saturday and it was even supposed to be hotter. It was supposed to be like 112. We're like, yeah, we're just gonna pack up and go home. We're not even gonna hang out anymore. Like it's just bad. And then we ended up getting back home, and it was like 92, and it was sad to go, oh, this feels so much nicer. And you're like, normally you're complaining because 92 is hot.
I think it was 83 here over the holiday weekend. I think that was our high, and like
That
right
sounds
now
lovely.
it's 64.
Yeah,
out.
that's a lot nicer.
I can handle. I hate heat like this. I can handle, but I'll take the cold more than heat any day.
Well, and you know what's funny is you ever get those questionnaires where like people are like this or that, and like they go winter or summer, hot or cold, and like so many people are like, oh, I'll take the heat. I can't stand the cold, and this, that, and the other. But then as soon as it's like 110 out, they're like, this is too hot, and it's like, what happened to I'll take the heat over the cold?
Always take the cold, man. You can put on more layers.
That's always my number
pretty
one
funny.
answer.
Like people in our neighborhood when it was over the weekend like 83 and stuff, they had like sleeping with their doors open, the front door open to the house and windows open and stuff, and it's like, man, you guys don't even know how hot it is. Like this is nothing.
Yeah,
they were all kinds of upset over it.
But yeah, back to the whole Axialfest. Is there still like a comparison you can give us since like you've been to?
Like I said, I like the setup, and the shuttles were free. That was nice. So it's about 1.5 mile walk from the main check-in. Like when you go to tech your cars at Badlands for Axialfest, where you go to tech the cars. I think it's 1.5 miles to get to. 1.5 miles to get to the quarry. There is a couple of trails that start right by where they do like the awards and stuff. Like at Rob's, you have like a nice little podium and stuff. This is just a big grass lawn. So like right where the grass lawn is, there's like a trail right out of there that kind of takes you deep into the woods. But they do have free shuttles, and like Andy's mom, and there's like 2 other shuttles that are running. I just remember because he was always like, oh, my mom's running the shuttle. So that was kind of cool that you didn't have to worry about walking all that way if you didn't want to. And I saw some serious guys. Like I'm into RC and you guys are, but to see somebody with like these huge knee pads, like roofing knee pads or something, just in case he had to get down on his knee and to fix his car. Whoa. I hadn't seen that before. Like in the collection of weird trail gear, I hadn't seen somebody with like super intense knee pads so he could kneel down to work on his truck.
Yeah.
It's kind of smart, actually. I mean, like that.
I know.
It's actually not a half bad idea, especially for pictures and video. I mean, like, it kind of makes sense.
Do you remember they had this weird thing? It was like a bench. It was like a single seat thing. It was like support one butt cheek, but like you kind of sat on your foot. I don't remember what the heck it was. It was these weird like instant seat or something. It was like gardening or whatever.
Backpacking seat or something? Oh, huh,
Maybe
no, I
you
don't
wore it
think I've
though.
seen
You
that.
kind of wore it like a shin guard sort of. I mean, it was big, but it was on the backside. Weird. It was
So
weird. I'll try to find it and send you a link to it. It's kooky. I remember it, but I don't remember what it was from. If
you
it
know
was
what that actually sounds
backing
like?
or
That sounds like the thing that the umpires wear. They have that weird shin guard with
oh,
a pad so they can sit down on their foot and they don't give themselves like a
is
bad.
that what it's for?
I don't
That
know, but
makes sense.
that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, they're squatting down. Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah. It could be what it is, but that was a weird thing that I saw. Just I was thinking about the shuttles and the walking, and yeah. So that was a cool thing. All the Rob stuff is pretty close, right? As far as I remember. I mean, you could walk to all
Yeah.
the trails.
Yeah. So,
There's the Beach
yeah.
Trail, and there was the Bear Trail, right? Where
Mhm.
people were encountering animals.
Oh yeah, last year was even worse. The bear was coming through camp. Like people were freaking out because it was like, unfortunately, it did make a handful of people leave early. Because Friday night was was it Friday night or Thursday night? I can't remember which night was like the first night. It came like it was kind of on the outskirts, and then like people started making awareness, like, hey, we saw bears and yada yada yada, and then some of the people on the outer like camping area out in the meadow.
I was gonna say, was it in the meadow? That's where the bees were. Okay.
And at the end, they were like, I think it was like Saturday, a handful of them cleared out of there because they're like, we're not staying another night. We're not doing it. So, I mean, maybe it's better. I don't know. We actually, I mean, if we kind of did have a late summer this year, so who knows? Because it was actually still kind of pretty like chilly and mild all up until about a month ago, and then all of a sudden it was like someone just cranked the heat and never turned it off. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But also, I think people need to be a little more prepared because I think they going, oh, we're going here to do this, whatever. They don't think of anything, or like they don't think that could happen. And there's wildlife out there, so you don't be leaving food and trash and everything like right there. Like so every night, don't leave trash right outside, especially food wrappers and whatever. Go take all that and throw it out at the dumpsters, and then just have nothing.
Oh yeah,
like
especially if you're out in the meadow, which is like on the edge of everybody else.
Yeah,
so that's like the primitive camping area, though, right? That's just tents, right?
That's just tents. Yep, that's just tents. Yeah, I believe it did come through the hookup area, because everyone's got their RVs and their and their fridges and all that stuff hooked up. So, I think it did come through. That would be a good question for Javier because I think.
Who's coming after them?
Well, no, because I think one of them was like, "Oh, I'm gonna they were gonna go out of the RV to go use the bathroom," and I think they heard it, so they turned around and went right back inside and shut the door and was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'll just have to use the RV toilet and not go out to the actual other one." So, but yeah, so we'll see what happens this year.
Now I feel like I need to go back to Rob's to get a better assessment.
Well, that's the thing, and I encourage anybody that's listening, that has been to Cisco, that has been to Donner, but has been on the fence about going to Rob's. You need to give it a shot. Like you need to give it a fair shake, and you need to just like go experience it once because, yes, it may not be like the epic trails of or the creative trails of Cisco. It may not be the epic terrain of Donner, but you're getting back to the camping amenities.
Yeah, that's what was cool about it. He's like walking around, like just
yes.
I took my dogs when I went, so I was walking them through the camps. You just start talking to people, and it's all the same kind of like our people. So
yeah, exactly.
That was just cool, and they didn't have that at Donner. Donner just didn't have that same vibe.
Exactly. So you're getting that atmosphere back. Plus you're just out hanging out with your friends, and like I said, I guarantee you the trails are getting better. Yes, there's a lot of man-made stuff, but if you saw any of the pictures, Elio posted a lot of them. The trail they were working on, he showed me what it looked like before they got in there and what it looked like when it was all done. It looks like a natural empty river stream. Like it does not even look like you man-made.
That's right.
But they brought in Rob's brought in so much rock, and they hand laid all these rocks out there. I mean, it's badass. So there's some badass trails that are being built. And like I said, he doesn't, when I say he, the owner of Rob's, does not want to take it down. So he's like, it's going to be here all year. So like, if you guys want to come up and run your cars, or you want to have events, or you want to have whatever,
That's rad. That's cool that they're into it.
yeah, they're really into it. So, yeah, so I say, try it out, come out and, have a good time, see what it's like.
Oh, I'd love to get back out and go run the 5K again. I keep pointing that way because the Rift is up there, but
it's okay. Who knows? But maybe the way you're sitting, west is that way.
No, that's north. I had to think about it. Dude, it's taken me a long time to get used to everything out here. But anyway, yeah.
So how is that coming from California, going to a place? Because you're in Indiana now.
Yeah.
How is that?
I'll tell you. I have a short course track in my backyard. I have a rally circuit in the backyard, and I'm working on the We Rock U4 area because there's no rocks in Indiana. Where we go to do our comps is all man-made stuff, which is cool because the city has a park. It's called Abner Longley. And this dude that runs it, Rob, he's from Central Indiana Crawler Comps. He's talked to them, and they like paved formerly a dirt path. They paved it for us, and they like let him do whatever he wants in this area. They put up a sign, RC course. So it's cool that their city's into that. There's no natural stuff out here. I miss all of the natural stuff that I used to have.
Which is like a polar opposite of what we talked about last episode. Remember, Jay, last episode we were talking about how was it Fresno? What town was it? There was a town down by Madera area that was like, yeah, we're not, they started out making some like public spot for crawlers to go, and then all of a sudden they called them a nuisance and told them they had to get out.
I saw the video. Yeah. They're like kicking out homeless people, right?
Yeah.
And part of the video is like, well, this guy's doing stuff, and then we're just having fun, Kid. Yeah, I know. I think I know the video that you're speaking of.
Yeah.
They gave somebody fits in Fontana. There's Southridge. I used to do like mountain bike racing and stuff like way back in the day. And then there was a little bit of RC stuff starting to happen. And this dude, he does the RC. Oh, man, what is it? Southridge RC, I think is his Instagram page. He's put a ton of work in there. He's got like these elaborate short course kind of setups that go like all up in the trees and stuff. And there's a bunch of like granite rocks that are really fun to obviously crawl on. But they give him a bunch of stuff, like a hard time about it at first. And he had to like go and petition like to the city, and it was weird. But I think he's got it good now. But I did see what you're talking about, where they were like, these RC cars, somebody's going to get hurt on the news. That was weird.
Yeah. But I mean,
Madera sounds right though.
That's awesome. The fact that they're actually giving you guys a place to go to.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
It's just so hard to find the natural terrain. There's a lot of cool trail running out here. There's more trail running out here than there was in California, like easy access to me at least. But there's just no rocks, man. There's no rocks.
Yeah. So you brought so I may be using this as a segue into this. You brought up something, the We Rock. That's starting to become quite popular.
Yes.
And people are starting.
We Rock buggies.
Yep. And people are starting to build those left, right, and center. Do you see that being like the next like big craze in 1/10 scale RC?
I mean, kind of, but it's still going to have that barrier of entry. You either build it or you'd spend a grip of dough from a builder. I mean, they're really cool to look at. This is what I like to do. This is everything's tube chassis. But I don't know. I'm interested to see how it progresses. I support it a lot, obviously. I was one of the sponsors for the We Rock Nationals that they had in Colorado on the 8th and 9th, which I would have gone to, but it's my wedding anniversary, so I didn't want to. I didn't even want to know that, it's not like she said no, but I didn't want to ask and try to, keep things good.
Right. Yeah.
But the We Rock people are definitely like my kind of people because they seem to be the build everything people. I don't know are you guys in either of you in the group, the We Rock group? They're getting wild with the VFDs. They're doing like the twin stick stuff.
Yes, I've been so it's funny because I haven't probably made much interaction in there. That that algorithm has kind of fallen off, but I do remember joining the We Rock just to kind of watch what was happening. And I think I've said this on the show before. My buddy's son.
It has exploded. It's just like from where it started when they started the page to now, just like the stuff available for the builds, like running the double digs and stuff, and how small everything's gotten. And obviously Harley's got the build along with the 3D printed fixtures and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty epic.
Which is crazy because I've actually talked to a handful of people that are like, that's like their goal. They're like, I'm gonna 3D print out the thing and I'm gonna follow along and I'm just gonna build mine. And and it's kind of crazy to see that somebody, is starting to market that, as until we get some sort of RTR that comes out. Which
I mean, the speedy people, they can, they make all the chassis for this kind of stuff. So
but I'm just wondering if like we're ever gonna see, from one of the big three, an actual off the shelf,
like an RTR.
Yeah, like an RTR. And I'm wondering, like, will it be metal? I mean, I'm most likely it's going to be a plastic chassis just because that's easier to mass produce and sell a ton of. But I'm just curious, like, to see if that'll ever take off because the U4 had its own little, following.
That's had many rises and falls throughout the years.
And it's just like, and that's the thing. It's like, is We Rock, is that style going to be the next U4? And it's just kind of, like you said, be all over the place? Or is that going to be like the next thing where it actually takes off and there's a decent following and then there's going to be decent, maybe a more dedicated events to it, more dedicated trails / mini events when you're at like these, bigger events. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because I know out in Utah is becoming like the mecca of all this stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, one of my earbuds said low. Well, actually, they both said low, so I'm charging one and then going to switch it in case it dies.
No worries.
So on the topic of those two, I really think that the We Rock is going to have a better consistency than the U4 because of the builders that are making stuff. And like I said, if you guys are in the Facebook groups, you see how it's progressing. All of the engineering that is going into these tiny buggies. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't think I saw that so much with the U4. The U4 is a little bit more kind of build a cage, put it on a short course pan for the most part. I mean, there was a couple exceptions where I had built a weird Emmerich's, or I took an Emmerich's chassis and I cut the front end off and I adapted it to IFS. And that was a little bit more extreme. But for the most part, it was short course setups with cages. Where this, these are like fully thought out and designed by the people that are running them. So I feel like it's going to be a healthier a healthier genre for this, the crawler. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain.
Racing has kind of a toxic element because, I mean, like with U4, it was, different chassis manufacturers hating each other and, like gang wars and shit. I mean, it was pretty stupid. And with rock crawling, it's not that head-to-head competition where, you're wheel to wheel and getting taken out by somebody or, it's with it not being a heads up competition and you're just crawling, it's a little more civilized and the tempers don't flare. So I think that in itself is probably going to help prolong the longevity.
Yeah, with the topic of the tempers flared, the tempers are getting flared at you get mad at yourself because of the mistakes that you make, as opposed to I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, it's cool though because we had our first event, our first We Rock RC event at my local club maybe a month ago. It was before they did the nationals. We actually had people from other states that came to do it because they hadn't done any We Rock events. We actually have one this weekend too. So if anybody's listening and near the central Indiana area, Sunday at Abner Longley, there's going to be a We Rock RC style event. But nice. Totally agree with Jay's sentiment there. Like it can be kind of toxic. I did 10 scale racing some stuff.
Well,
tempers can flare exactly how you said.
Which is funny because that's how Scale Challenge West came to be, is because Elio was starting to get back into the comp crawling, and he was going out to Folsom, and he just started like, he's like, all right, I'll get back into it. And he brought out more of his comp rigs and he was doing it. And then like, there's so many people that are just frustrated because it's like, they're like, oh, this isn't fair. This guy shows up and they got this many points because they have this on their car, or, oh, this guy's cheating because he's running this and da-da-da-da. And like, he goes, man, this just brings back so much bad memories of like all these people fighting over like, this, that, and the other. And then, so he was like, you know what, we need to get back to like just like a more scale fun, event that you can just come to. And it's like, run what you brung and just have a good time. And then that's kind of how Scale Challenge West was born.
Yeah. We scored it pretty loose out here. It was like, is the rig 7 pounds? Is stuff covered? We didn't go as strict as they are for like nationals, but just to get more people involved. Then we even added like a stock class, so you can run like an optic or a Capra or what have you, because obviously not everybody's going to be able to make or buy the metal cages.
Yeah.
So at least in our local group, we did that to try to get more people involved. Get more people into it.
Yeah, which, like I said, I'm wondering if we'll see, because like after talking to, like, I think like when we talked to John Schultz, I even think when we talked to Brad Geck, there was a lot, like, you don't realize that some of these ideas, when they come out with these rigs, they're like a year to 2 in the making before they finally hit the shelves, and a lot can happen in that year to 2 years. So you could be developing this and you're like, okay, is it still going to be a thing by the time the rig, hits the masses? So it's like, it's one of those, I wonder, are one of them going to jump on it right now? So hopefully, they get it out while it's still fresh and everybody wants it. Or are they going to be, cautious?
Yeah.
They're like, we're already like, a year into the craze, people are building it themselves. Would they really buy this? By the time we get it done, is anyone going to be buying it? I don't know. Like I said, I'd like to see it kind of take off because it's just a different element. And it honestly kind of, I think, could be another element of the crawling community that brings back, like, you can have that aspect of the comp crawler because you're building a rig that is supposed to be a crawling machine. But now, instead of it looking like a toy or like an actual RC, whatever you want to call it, because like, let's be honest, like the Bergs, the
Sporties, the Bergs,
all those, they don't look like a real car. Whereas you can at least get, the We Rock style buggy is going to look like a real We Rock buggy, and it's still going to crawl like your Sporty, like your Bergs, all that stuff. So yeah.
Well, they definitely do not handle quite as good because you have a lot more metal and stuff up on top. But it was cool for the first one that we had, man, because everybody had finished them like the week before. So nobody had driven them. So the whole time it was like, you can kind of hear all they're swearing under your breath as you're, struggling through.
Yeah.
Like I had to do a last minute wheel swap. I had some lighter weight wheels that I didn't realize. I didn't fully think that out. I had the car set up. I'm like, I think it's heavy enough. And it was like half a pound light. So I ended up swapping wheels last minute. And one of the axle pins dropped where the hex goes. So when I screwed it on, I pulled the bearing out. Like I pulled the inner race out and I didn't know. So I get over to the first gate. Before I even went to the gate, I'm like, all right, here we go. And the axle just rolls out. It was super scale though. It looked good. Because the axle's just sitting there with the tire. But thankfully I was able to fix it and get back out there. Because it was before I even, crossed the first cones.
Nice.
But yeah, it's fun. It kind of reminded me of, the early days of crawling, like 08, 07, because you're figuring them out as you go, because there is no RTR version.
Exactly.
And I've seen just normal people, not normal people, just like people that aren't companies, just people that are developing parts and then offering them up on, like you said, the Facebook group. Like the double dig on the transmissions. I've seen the parts that are machined and they're available. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. It's so cool to see.
And then that's what kind of starts like creating these like, offshoot little, small mom and pop, as you would say, companies, because, I remember back in the day, like DMG, Death Metal Garage,
Jerry.
Matt Zilla, and BGR, like all those guys were making parts, you know, because there was no mass produce. It wasn't really big. So like they were able to, you know, make something in their
Was that
garage.
before Wordy Made? Yeah, Wordy Made came after.
Yeah, then Wordy
Wordy
Made
Made
after,
years later.
and then he was kind of the same thing. That's how he kind of developed, was because he was able to come up, you know, with something in his garage and sell it. That's what kind of like started, like I would call it like the pioneer days of all of that, and the scale metal. Like
That's why I'm here.
you know. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with it, but it's going to be kind of cool.
I hope it stays. You know, I hope it's a nice even keel and just keeps continuing to stay. And obviously, it looks really cool. It looks way more cool than, you know, an RTR Lexan body jingling around.
Realistic stuff.
The driver figures, though, it has ruined me. Now that I have a driver figure in my buggy, I think everything needs a driver figure. I can't not want to have the figure, you know?
Yeah.
Which is a little,
it's like once you do an interior and something, then you're like, man, I have to do an interior and everything because it feels like you're half-assing it otherwise.
Right? Yeah. And just to hide stuff too. I mean, it looks so much better when you're not like seeing through the car.
For sure.
Yeah, which is hard because, like for instance, I'll be honest, my buddy's son who built one for me, but once again waiting on that to be finished so I can take it over. He like the TIG welds, everything is so beautiful. I don't want to paint it and like put body panels on it. I was almost thinking about doing like, you know, some of the We Rocks that actually they're just the raw tubes that they clear and then they put clear panels on them with like all their stickers on it. And I'm like, I'd love to do that, but I'm like, you're going to be seeing straight into electronics. So it's like, is that
how you lay it out though? That's why I on this one, I do want to put some clear Lexan in the front and in the back, but right in the meat of it, like where I have my ESC on this side and I got the battery mounted up on this side, you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see with this yet, but there's a little scale Optima battery thingy there. It's more about like you gotta, and the stuff is so small now too, man. I mean, you can use who is it, like Silent Assassin? I don't know if the Holmes revolver one is still a thing. I don't remember the silencer ESC. It's been out of stock for a while. I don't know if that's still a thing. Is it?
Yeah. Maybe. No, they're ESCs.
You can buy the board and you got to solder on and everything, right?
Yeah. Holmes Hobbies, which is actually funny you bring that up. I was planning on talking about that, but I just was actually looking, so it's actually kind of like useless at this point. Holmes Hobbies did put out a post today, and I don't know if either one of you saw it. They put their Polar Pro series motors on sale on their website. They were all marked $74.99. Didn't matter if you got the rock crawler, just a standard Polar Pro, a stubby, whatever it was. They were all on sale for $74.99 because they're trying to make way for their new product release, which is coming up shortly. And if it's what I think it is, because I'm also a team driver for Holmes Hobbies, I get to see some of the behind the scenes with what John's working on. If it's what I think it is, it's going to be a big seller, and I think a lot of people are going to jump on it. But as we speak, if anybody wants a Polar Pro for a really good price, the only one that's available is the rock crawler. It's a 540. It's not the stubby, and it's a 6,000 kV, $75. So,
I mean, I could step it up from 57 to 6. Would you say 6,000 or what did you say?
Yep. So it's a 6,000. So, you know, if you need one for like your, I mean, I guess you could throw that in the Rift.
Where did it go? I have the 5mm shaft can, the HD can. Which one is it? I think I got a Castle setup in there. I pulled what I had in my Baja Ray Jason Shear truck, and I put that in the Rift because I needed something censored. Because the stock system is, you know, just coggy and good.
Clogs like crazy,
But after, it took a bit to get that Rift how I wanted it to drive. I was trying to make my Rift drive like my Bomber. They are not the same. I got it pretty close though.
Slam those things
under driving front and back. Exactly.
Yep. So it doesn't strip gears, and that was like one of the most setup intensive trucks that I've had, was trying to get that thing to where it just didn't flip over if you looked at it wrong. Like that was
exactly.
That was
those tires too. Those really square tires did not help. I switched over to some
Yeah, they had a lot of
Axial
side-by.
KM3s. Those big old giant. They look good too.
Nice.
But
Yeah, those would work really well.
Yeah, I'm like a sucker for boggers right
I
now.
actually ended up getting rid of mine because I never
That's
used
why
it.
I'm putting these on the Suburban, because
Are those
I
the
have
same
them.
height as what's on it?
Say that again.
Are
him or
those the
me?
same height
KM3s,
as
they're
what's on it?
shorter.
No, what did Jay say?
No, the boggers.
What about
The
them?
boggers, are those the same height as what's on your Suburban?
Pretty damn close.
Yeah,
They might
close,
be a
nice.
smidge taller. Like, I mean, when I say smidge, like smidge, but yeah.
Are those the Nittos? I can't see very good. The stock Nittos.
Those are the stock Nittos.
Okay.
Stock Nittos.
Yeah, which those
So-
are kind of a tall tire too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually shocked for how tall they were, because I put the KM3s on the JL and I couldn't believe how much smaller those tires were, because I believe that came with the Nittos as well. I think the only car that comes with a smaller tire is the C10, because I got a C10 sitting up there, but that thing's like bone stock as bone stock can be.
Yeah, the C10 did have small tires. The Deadbolt had the bigger tires, right?
Yes. Deadbolt and
The biggest of the.
yes.
Or was it the same on the Gladiator? Might have been the same on the Gladiator. I don't remember.
I think it's the same as the Gladiator. But yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I put the boggers on the capper build. I don't know why I'm a sucker for those boggers now.
They look mean. They just look mean.
They do look mean. Too mean for me.
So,
I gave my SCX 24 away, and then after I did that, Element discontinued the Enduro 24.
Oh, is it discontinued? I mean, it seemed like everything
Yeah.
that you buy from their website was like, and get a 24, and get a 24, and
Yeah,
get a 24.
they just had trouble getting rid of them. They just couldn't, like there was some attractive things about them as far as the layout goes, because you could put an interior in them and stuff, but the lack of upgrade parts was kind of
That was a struggle for me.
Yeah,
I had to
and, like,
figure out what the axle was.
yeah, and they wouldn't, the servo's so weak that it won't turn aluminum wheels. You can only use the plastic wheels for the most part with them and stuff. So I mean, I don't know, it's to make an Enduro 24 good, you got to spend a lot of money on it. So I mean, I've got one sitting here actually, but and it's got like metal wheels and stuff on it, but it doesn't, I mean, it won't even steer, and there's no weight or anything, they're just aluminum wheels. So yeah, it takes a lot to make those things good, unfortunately. So I think that was probably kind of what was difficult for them to sell them.
I think I ended up using like a Fury Tech skid so I could put in SCX 24 trans, and that got it to boogie. Then I was running 2S, and I had upped the gearing quite a bit, and then it was fun. Then I could jump it.
Yeah,
Then I
yeah.
could
Being stock with a one cell is really, really difficult, because it's basically, got all the electronics out of it if you even want to put a servo in it.
Yeah.
Because the stock electronics won't handle a 2-cell, will burn up. So
Yeah, I think I pulled all the electronics out of a TF2 24 or whatever it was, and then put those into the Element.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really like the TF24 thing, but the Element was fun after I did that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably still build it up and stuff, just because I think it'd be fun to have. I got a little course on the side of the house and stuff. So, but it's a very low priority right now to get that thing going. There's a lot of other projects that have got in the works instead. So,
Yeah, I kept trying to make it think go fast.
24th scale trail, that sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's been hard, because it's like, I think the 24 stuff's cool. I just never had the drive to want to finish a build, or build one, just because it's like, I'm like, when am I going to use it? What am I going to use it on? But it'll be interesting. Like I said, I'll have this thing done, and I'll bring it with me to Axialfest, and we'll see if I actually drive it. Because like, for all I know, we'll get there and be so busy, and I'll be like, yeah, screw it, it's just sitting there.
To me, it's crazy how many 24s that I see with people, though. like seeing the lineup for people to check in at Axialfest, it was just like a pile of 24s and some 10s, you know, and CX6 maybe, but a lot of people seemed like they had like 10 SCX 24s at least. It was always a pile. Everybody going, man, I must be missing something because I have one.
Well, what's crazy about it too is just like how inexpensive it is to do. Like you could build a full-on like decked out SCX 10. Like you can buy the car for like $100, and then you could put about another $100 into it, and the thing's like a full built, ready to go 24 scale. Like you don't have to spend a ton of money.
I think I know what was the I didn't like the most about it was the crazy wheel offsets. And nobody cared about scrubs too. That was just what you do with those, is you put the really long, like hub extenders. I was like,
because they want the because everybody.
I think that's what it was. I think that was like I can't do this because this is what you do, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I'm looking at the wheels that I have. If I'm not mistaken, these ones you can swap the hub over to the other side, and it'll give it a deeper offset. Which I'm not planning on doing. I just wanted white wagon wheels because I figured it'd be like more period correct to that Suburban.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that it's because what's popular with the 24 scale from my understanding is the wider track width. So if you actually look at like little guy racing parts,
whatever.
I think it's Mias is the other company. All of them come up with the axles that are like 8 millimeters wider, 4 millimeters wider.
Yeah. Pellegrino's company, definitely. He was like the first one, and I was like, oh yeah, somebody's doing it. And then the TRX4M came out. I'm like, oh, this is perfect, and it's way cheaper.
Yeah, so I've noticed that wide, because it makes the car, I guess, more stable. Because because there's a lot of top weight, so they figured go wider. That's going to keep you planted. Plus, a lot of them do a lot of like weight addition to get the car to to stay planted, which is kind of why I added a little weight. I got the knuckles and I got the diff covers. Those wheels actually got some weight to them, so I'm hoping all of that will be just enough to keep it planted. But we'll see. So,
yeah, for sure. The widerness, the width. The width, yes. But the scrub steer. The scrub steer bothered me so much that it was not a consideration with the 24s. But anyway.
Yeah,
that long travel kit, it was pushing everything out.
Axles on mine are so narrow that it actually like looks funny with taller tires on it. Like the tires almost rub when you articulate, even like it's just they're so freaking narrow.
Yeah, the little guy racing tires, I like those.
Like fairly deep offset wheel. I mean, they're not, like a positive offset wheel.
Yeah. So, see, that one looks proper, but that's not what everybody runs. Everybody runs
yeah. Well, and you can't run the extenders on these either. I ordered some for the SCX 24 to try on this, and completely different threads on the axles for the wheel nuts. Which
that's crazy.
Weird.
Yeah, yes, that's right. Yeah, the element is bigger, right? That's why I was like, oh, this has some better parts. So I think it was Furatech, maybe. It was like Furatech monster truck parts were what would work on the element. That's what I was putting in there to make it do what I wanted to do. Like I wanted a U4, 4Runner because I had the 4Runner body. So yeah, I started. It was the Furatech skid to then get the higher ratio. Once you deleted the divorce transfer case or the divorce transmission setup, you upped your total output, and that got it faster. And then being the monster truck stuff, I'm like, oh, good. I'm not going to run those big tires. This should be strong enough to not break if I have fun with it.
Yeah. Well, that's another brand. Furatech's making a big push in the 124 scale stuff. A lot of people are putting their motors in there, and that's like also what's crazy is because you can buy some of these motors and ESC, hop ups, and they're like $40 for the whole kit, and you're like, that's it, because you're so used to buying. Yeah, you're so used to going out and getting like, your a normal ESC and motor combo. You're going anywhere from $100 to $150 easily. And then it goes up from there if you're going even higher end stuff. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy because everything I have here, I got about just under $100.
Wow. That's
So,
really good.
And then the other thing that helps is, and I know
There's another brand too, right? Hard Park or Hard Pack.
Hard Pack RC.
They're huge, right? In 24s.
Yep, they're huge. There's another one. It starts with an M, like Mozilla. I think is Mozilla, something like that. That he makes some chassis. Those ones I can't believe how expensive they are. He makes some like crazy chassis, and they are like $100 just for the chassis.
Is it? It's not AKRS or whatever. You're talking for like the plate chassis.
Yes,
I think it's AK. I don't know.
there's a
I
couple.
think it starts with an A. But yeah,
there's a couple different guys. But like for instance, like, and I know for some people they're gonna frown upon this, but like the wheels I just got the cheap. These are just Enjoras from Amazon. All 4 of them, $25.99. I mean,
well, I guess with the 24s, there's Vanquish isn't making 24 wheels, are they?
there's that too. There's not a lot of the big
There's a little like I feel like you have more. It's okay to have the weird, super cheap stuff. I don't know. I got spec wheels and Vanquish wheels, and
definitely.
I try to buy the American stuff that I can because I am an American company and want to try to keep the money here.
Yeah, no, I get it, but it's just kind of crazy because it's like you're just like, wow, like like you can get quite a bit of stuff from Amazon, eBay. Like actually there's a couple on Amazon, there's a couple like brass packs where like you can get the knuckles, the diff covers, some wheel weights, and I forget what else came in it for like $30. Like, so you could like knock out your whole entire everything you're getting, even though I think that's a little too much brass when it comes these 24s, because you kind of do see that in these 24th scale pages. There will be somebody who's like, I literally threw every piece of brass at it and now I'm breaking stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, because you went overboard. Like, yes, you want some weight down low with these things, but you don't want to go that crazy. And then the other thing that I think that's really weird with the 24th is they're very flex happy. Like they want, like even though they do all the stuff to the rigs, they want it to be really wide. They try
like the extendable shocks and the shock key that like rotates.
Yes, there's a.
I understand that stuff.
It's all the new people. The new everybody new is so fascinated with articulation and stuff, and like with Element being not entry level like Red Cat, but less expensive than like Axial. We have a lot of new people in that community, and they are all flex happy. Like exactly what you're talking about. Like they'll buy an Ecto and like, oh, I'm going to take the sway bar off of this thing and look how much more flex I can get without the sway bar. And you're just, oh man, don't.
Yeah, but I don't know what it is because like it's like, well, I think it's because if you think about it, like in stock form, this thing really doesn't have a lot of like, flex. So like I guess going over stuff, you're it's not far before you're lifting up like a rear tire. So I mean maybe that's what the.
But if that was real, that's a ton, like that's a ton
for sure, a little bit more, but exactly like the I don't know. It's too far. Yeah. There's a lot that's too much.
Yeah,
because it looks cool on the bench. It looks sick, on their Red Bull or Monster can or a bunch of Copenhagen.
That's what came to mind when you talked about the flex. I could picture the Monster can.
Yeah,
and the tire perched upon the Monster.
Like the big sick thing everybody wants to do. I don't know why it's that way, but it is. It's funny. They're just fascinated by it.
But yeah.
They'll learn eventually.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then that's what kind of got me also going down this like rabbit hole was because like I think some of these comp builds that they build with the 124s are pretty badass. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll do one because you can kind of build one for, $100, $150 and have a full...
comping the 24s, that seems like a lot of fun because you can do that wherever you want. There's like dudes with trailers and stuff that are like, just pop up comp. That is super cool.
Yeah. No, there's actually a guy there's a guy up in the Sacramento area who actually does that. He's got these 124th scale kind of like trailers or whatever you want to call them. And he could do a pop-up. He could just pull right up to something and just literally set everything up in like 15 minutes and you can have a whole comp there. So that's why I think the 24th scale's got like a very big cult following. Because it's
companies like 4-Wheel Parts should do stuff like that at like their sales and stuff like that and barbecues that they have.
So back in the
that's
day,
where the rocks are out here. There's a 4-Wheel Parts and like Flat Out. And I really want to go and be like, hey, can I do an event on a weekend one day? Because that would be the spot to do the We Rock stuff.
Rad.
'Cause they've got like big boulders and it looks better. It'll work better.
They might actually let you do it because I think there was something that was going on. Somebody did something up at the 4 Wheel Parts in Sparks, Nevada. So I think they would let you.
I'm gonna pursue this then. I knew that they did sell some. Didn't they sell? Or was it?
So way back,
They sold some weird off-brand for a little while, didn't they? Weren't they selling that Jeep knockoff clone thing that got shut down? It was like a full-size company that started selling. Was it the Rebel? Was it Rebel RC? They might have been selling Rebel.
That might have been it, and then they kind of fizzled out. But so way back in the day, like I'm talking like 2006, 2007, I went to it's a 4 Wheel Parts Jeep and Truck Fest. It happens here down the road in San Mateo at the Expo Center, and they used to have these little. And I mean, I'm talking like this is how cheesy it was. You'd buy this little like rock crawler thing, and it was the old school. You pull it back, let it go, and it like has the it wound up the motor for it to go. But like people were setting like their whole thing was they were setting up these little like obstacles, and you do this, and you drive it, and like you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. So you ended up buying one because it was like $20, $30, whatever it was for it. But it's like if you're able to like you're saying market that like. Not even bring in the 1/10. I mean, you could bring in the 1/10, but like if you just had a ton of the 24 scale, it's easy because like your average person that comes in there with their family, they could buy 1 or 2 of these, for their kids, and they're not breaking the bank, and they're pretty robust, and they're cheap to fix, and you can take it anywhere. You could be at the park, and you're like, all right, here's your car, and they can run around for doing whatever. So, yeah, that's why, like I said.
Exactly. Yeah, they can run around and do whatever. They're not fast enough to hurt anybody. Oh, I lucked out. So I had some jumps set up in front of my booth. It was like send it for stickers, and anybody that could make the gap, I gave them a sticker. And then that turned into, all right, whoever can jump at the longest by Saturday, I'll send you a sweatshirt. And there was some guys out there with exos. I think it was like 16 feet, 10 inches or something was the furthest. Hit the landing or hit the jump and hit the landing. And he's like, I think I could do it a little more. And then he yard sailed it. The battery went flying out of the window, but he got a sweatshirt. No, anyway, I was saying is I lucked out because I had these jumps in front of my booth, and I was talking to somebody, and some kid hit the jump and hit me right in like the meaty part of the back of my calf. So I was like, oh, that could have been way worse. Thank God it wasn't on my shin or on the Achilles, Whereas the 24th, you're not going to hurt anybody.
No.
Okay.
Well, so I remember that. So I had a story similar to that. So Dan Wilson was actually setting up one of his rigs, and he just plugged the battery in, and the car like just took off the tailgate and went right into someone's shin, almost took them out. Like they were like about to hit the ground. Like that's how hard, because also he had really heavy rigs. So he had a 1/10 scale rig that would weigh like 9-10 pounds. But and like, you're like, yeah, that hurts. And then it kind of brings up another story, because we were talking about this in a group chat. I guess Axial, one of the guys at Axial has like a hard on to try to keep like every trail to be SCX6 accessible. And we just know that that's not possible. Like it's just like there's some trails you're not gonna be able to make like, the like the width of it, accommodating for a 6. But they mentioned that they wanted to try, because there's there's a set of like tree bridges and stuff that they put for the 1/10. So you're like up like 20-ish feet in the air running your car from the ground. And they're like, yeah, we want to make it so the 6s can do that. And we're like, that's such a bad idea. I mean, could you imagine 25 pounds flying out of the air and landing on someone's head?
Hitting some kid.
Like,
being some kid on the noggin. That isn't cool.
So I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that one. So we'll see if they actually try it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah,
Like, that's
I mean, because
really bad.
my six isn't even stock. I mean, stock those things weigh a ton, but aftermarket, I think mine's close to 30 pounds by the time all the metal
my
edition that's on there,
God.
the metal wheels, the hard body. I mean, it's a tank. So
Wow.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yours is the big Cadillac, right?
yep.
Yeah, that's right. I was like, I remember seeing it now. Wait, now that you're talking about it, right? Did you have like underglow or something in there too, or something
No,
weird?
I have the so the Cadillac came with a speaker that was like super
Oh, it was the
cheesy.
speaker. That's what it was.
And one of the guys at Elio's work is like I don't know, some sort of like audio geek and like big time into like audio, and he's like, yeah, he goes, I can modify that, and I could put this in here, and I could do that, and I could do this, and I could do that, all this stuff. And he goes, I can make it Bluetooth so you can hook it up to your phone. And so Elio's like, hey, do you want him to try and do that? I said, sure, I don't care. So he did it all, and then he added some LED lights to it. And I mean, that thing cranks. Like, I can't believe it for being a little like 1-inch speaker, subwoofer, whatever you want to call it. He even like ported the box. It's hilarious. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
I
one of
wonder
these
if the
days.
body helps with dispersing that sound. It's a hard body, right?
It's a hard body.
Yeah, I thought.
It's a brittle hard body. I cringe every time I take it out on certain rocks because I'm just like, oh, because after not Axialfest, the last crawl for a cure, I was doing the monkey see monkey do with Elio, and he had like kind of more of like a rock buggy built SCX6, and he was going through these lines, and he was like, yeah, he goes, oh, I did it, you should be able to do it. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I said, this Cadillac doesn't drive like that. And he's like, no, you can do it. And then like I followed him anyways. The thing like rolled over, and it just completely like cracked the whole side of the body. And
Oh,
so what I ended up doing after that, and then I was so pissed because last year it was the first time it's ever happened to me. So right before Axialfest, I took the body apart, and I put the the drywall mesh tape.
yeah.
I put that all along the roof. Basically, I coated the whole inside with this stuff, and then a thin layer of shoe goo to kind of like help hold it all together. So, I mean, if it still falls hard enough, it'll probably crack and explode. But on those slow rolls, it's not going to just snap like it did. I'm hoping it'll kind of stay together a little bit better. And I got it all done, and then I get up to Axialfest, and I realized I forgot the remote. And I was like,
Oh, that's happened to me more often than not.
and that's the first time it's ever happened to me too, because I was like so mad because like I know I realized it, and it's bad because like normally when I forget something, I'll just be leaving and I'll be like, oh shit, and then like I'll turn around because I'm only like 3 blocks away from home, and I'll grab it and I'll leave. But that time we were like 5 minutes away from Auburn, and I was like, oh, the remote, it's sitting. And Michelle's like, what are you talking about? And I said, the remote for the 6. I said, it's still hanging on my bench. And she's like, can't you just like run a different remote? And I said, I could, but I don't feel like setting all the parameters up, and it's already set on that remote. So I'm just like, I guess it'll just be a showpiece. I'll just show it off, but I ain't gonna run it. So this year I'll probably run it. I'm gonna bring it. And I never really actually run it on trails. It's more like I put tunes on and just like drive it around, and that's it. So
Bump Limp Biscuit.
yeah, I could bump Limp Biscuit. I might have to do
You
that
could.
just for Jay. I'll bump Limp Biscuit, and then I'll have to get like a rolling shot, and I'll put it on our Instagram.
You can just share Limp Biscuit with everybody. Just spread the joy.
You know what I need to do is
make a new plate that says like FRD Dirts, just like yours.
No, now you got me thinking. I wonder if I have enough time to find a scale hat for him and put it on backwards and have it red.
You got time.
I actually. Too bad it's the wrong. You have a driver in there?
Oh yeah, I got a GI Joe.
You mean GI Fred?
I found a
GI Fred.
really good. I found a really good hat vector file. That's why I was wondering. But both my printers are down. It's over in a box. But yeah, I actually found a STL for a hat.
See, now I'm on. See, I wonder how I find this. I'm on eBay now looking. I'm looking to see if they have like because we type in GI Joe hat, they're actually giving you like full size hats. I want
Oh,
a hat for the figure. That's
just type
red.
in like action figure hat.
Oh,
You
they
gonna do
actually
like
have
12
one.
inch figure clothes or 12-inch figure accessories? I know from looking for the 12 scale figures and accessories. I did manage to make jumpsuits with my logo on them, so it's possible. The stuff you need is out there.
Oh, this is hilarious. They got a 1/6 scale MAGA hat.
Turn that backwards. It's red, right?
Close, real close.
No, they do have one 1/6 scale, but the question is, will it be here in time?
Is it a baseball hat? Does it have the
It's a
proper
baseball hat,
logo?
but it doesn't have all the logos on it, but it is like a baseball style hat.
Flex fit style, like yours, or is it snappy?
No, it's it looks fitted.
Perfect. There you go. Fred Dirks is born.
The question is, will I have it in time?
Can you express ship it? Have you found any helmet files in your file looking for us, Jay? Because that seems to be a hard thing to come across. Is like a scale half shell. Like the
Well,
rally helmet, basically.
right, yeah, no, I haven't come across anything good. The only like good helmet that I've ever found was not hollowed out and couldn't put it on anything, but it was like a pumper one with like air hoses and stuff. Really, really cool. Actually, it's
Oh, you posted. I've seen pictures of you had something like that, right? Don't you have
if you
something with a
can-
pumper? Barker pumper?
yeah,
Yes.
but unfortunately they're solid though.
Yeah, I ended up buying. I think
I
it was
tried
like,
taking for 10th scale. I dremeled the bottom out of a bomber helmet once, and that worked okay. That fit
I
on
did
like a
that with
7-inch
with
action
the
figure.
Wild Willie. Whatever the Tamiya figure is, I did that exact same thing, trying to get it to fit onto.
Oh, yep, yeah.
Whatever that guy's called, I don't remember. But with the Wee Rock, you had to have like down to the boots, so he didn't work because he stopped at his knees.
Oh, gotcha.
But I ended up using like a skate helmet. I think they did like $28 on Amazon for the 10th scale skate helmet because it looked more like a Wee Rock helmet to me than everything else I was coming
God,
across.
Yeah, no, true. Wow, that's.
But it even had like a little buckle, like it had the neck clip, and you can clip it. It was super hard to clip, but I got it clipped.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it
No,
was
I
expensive,
haven't
but it
even
was very
seen
detailed.
any of those. That's wild. Well, yeah, I mean that makes it worth it, I guess. 'Cause that's pretty cool. That's super detailed, actually. I mean, that's a lot of little parts. Wow.
Yeah, it was
That's
all
neat.
in, like there was the shell, and then the straps were independent, like clipped or riveted on, or glued on, or pinned on, or whatever. And but having a functioning clasp, that was like, that's cool.
God, that's wild. That's like
Scale and
getting into
everything.
like
Just
RC
had to
4-wheel
have
drive, like ratchet,
Yes,
working ratchet tie down territory right there.
exactly.
Now it's on Amazon, you said?
Yeah, I'll send you a link to it. If you just look up, like I said, 12 scale figure accessories, I think it's 12 scale figure skate helmet is what that one was. You'll see it. But both of my earbuds are dead. Are you guys getting weird feedback from me? Because it's just coming out of my phone now.
No, it actually sounds pretty good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it doesn't sound bad at all. Weird.
Yeah, no. Andre had me on here searching. So I was a part of the We Rock RC NorCal buggy, which is actually kind of like not too active of a page. I think like the most recent thing was back in like April. So I just joined the actual one that's called We RC Rock, which is the actual bigger page.
Yeah, I think the main group page
That's
is up
the
to
one
like
that I belong to. So.
close to 2,000 people now. And then like there's individual, well, not individual,
Wow.
but like there's section ones, like the Colorado one. There's like, West Coast one.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good info on there.
That's pretty cool.
Silence. Sorry, silence gets weird, so I just made noise.
Oh, it's okay. I'm just looking around. Yeah. I mean, actually, we're doing pretty good. We are at 139. So is there any do we have questions, Jay?
I saw 2 questions. One of them was my longest build,
yeah,
which I would
actually,
say is this
we
tow
do.
truck here. I don't think I'm going to spend any more time on anything like I did on this. Down to the steel fenders. Like steel. Shaped and sloped. Oh, I actually have the blanks up here still. So this is how the fenders
So
started.
let's see here.
That's
Kinda
crazy.
I can't see it all. But anywho. Super thin gauge and just kind of like
Oh,
formed it on the car. And I was using screwdrivers and stuff, kind of like dollies, and sitting there tapping and trying to get it to match the 3D printed body. And then I think it was one question was the longest build. I don't know. What was the other question?
I think same guy on Instagram, Chris Trudeau, said, has he noticed an increase in demand for products? Seems like more and more folks are diving into fabrication, and you answered those ones on there. So I don't know if you want to answer it again on the show.
Oh yeah, no, I'll answer it on here too. I didn't think about that, just answering it on there. But no, it's been quite the opposite for me as far as the sales have been going. But we are seeing more people build stuff, and I feel like I might have helped inspire that, because a lot of the people that I talked to, they're, oh, I never tried it, and then, oh, your parts made it easier. Check out what I made. That's the best thing. That was the coolest part for me with Axialfest, is the people that come up like, hey, look what I made with the thing, and it's like there's at least 3 pre-runners set up with the Proline I-beams that they had built on Whoopacabras. I was like, that's epic. That's so cool. And then just people, oh, look, I built these bumpers. I built these sliders. And then that's just, a stepping stone. We all start with bumpers and sliders. And then the next thing you know,
Right.
I did a back half. I did an interior. I did a full tube chassis. So
yeah, I wonder
the demand has gone down, I think, for me. But it's just easier to make stuff yourself. You can use Senka Send or Exometry or any of those platforms if you can figure out how to make the drawings. So, unfortunately, less.
Let's see. So he had asked what the longest personal project was. Favorite rig that you've built? Did he answer that one?
Yeah, what's your favorite rig you've built?
I really like the Whoopacabra, man. This guy, the pre-runner.
Man after my own heart.
Long travel pre-runner thing. I just put an Element XF or is it XF? What's the new transmission called, Jay? Is it XF?
XF.
Yeah, I just put a XF in there. I had a VFD in it, but it was very noisy.
Oh,
with the 5700 kV ripping around the short
Oh.
track. So
Nice.
that is definitely, I think, my favorite build right now. I like the buggy though too, a lot. So I have the scale rail buggy kits that I offer. I think I might like running this one the most because it works good and it looks like a little 10 car. That was the goal for the design and the idea. However, it has no interior. And now that I did the WeRock thing, that bugs me a lot. There's no interior and no driver. I got to get some more nets from you too, Jay. Like I have on the WeRock buggy, the window nets definitely helped like get the look so much better. Like I had them off for a while, and then I bought 2 sheets from you when I did buy them, and I found the big sheet. I put them on. I'm like, oh man, now I need to put these on all the tube chassis. Did you ever find out? Are you guys out of the black one? You only have red?
I was hoping to ask Travis tonight when we were talking to him, but unfortunately wasn't able to. I'll try and catch up with him. He said he's just been too busy, so.
All good. I figured I would ask again. It's
yeah,
a cool product. I like the window nets, man. They're rad.
Yeah, I like those too. I actually need some myself too, so I'll look into it. Then Chris asked, "What's your best advice when learning to braze and weld?"
Take your time. It's going to take time.
Time and practice.
And remember, things that you are welding on are hot. It sounds silly, but I mean, I burn myself constantly
We've all
grabbing
we've
stuff
all
that
done it.
that was not where I was welding. That was where I was welding. Especially when you get into like the full cage, and you're doing like the final welds and stuff, just manipulating it. Just use your PPE, wear hand gloves, and just take your time. It's gonna take time.
Yeah, my problem's always been trying to protect when you weld around a Lexan bodies or even the hard bodies. They all melt. So it's like if you're trying to get something to fit perfectly and you're trying to get like a little tack, because like especially with like
That's the TIG is the key for those.
yeah, well, see, I got a MIG welder, so it's like, all right, let's get it there. I try to like stuff something behind it, or I try to be like super quick and just give it a little tack, and then I'm like, okay, remove the body real quick, and then you're like, okay, then I can finish welding when it's not there. But yeah,
Yeah, I've scorched
as
a
far
lot
as
of stuff with the
holding
MIG
stuff
welder.
in place with the body on and off, that's where the fixture tables come
Yep.
in. I have a few videos where I'm
Oh,
doing,
yeah.
I think it was a bumper on the Trail Runner body where I have it all fixtured up and I set the body on and everything's being held nicely. And then that way you can get it out of the way to braze or MIG or stuff that takes more heat too. So
Yeah.
if you can and want to, up the game, having the fixture table will help a lot because it's like having another set of hands that you can't
Yeah.
burn.
When everything
But,
matches too that way, everything.
And with
can be
brazing too,
symmetrical
definitely
and
want to
stuff.
get the 56. You want to get the more expensive of the options for the filler because it flows easier and it also melts a little bit faster too. So just like the overall learning curve is going to be a little bit better and the end result is going to be better. Buying the cheaper stuff, it doesn't flow as good. You're gonna it doesn't look quite as good. You're gonna be sitting there trying to file it and clean it up more. So using the better quality filler if you're brazing, and then just welding, it just takes time. You got to learn. You got to burn to learn, as they say.
yeah. Yeah, I know how that is, and it's also dialing in your machine and like knowing what you're using, and then I think what other people need to like realize too is when you are welding these little cars and stuff, you're not going to want a big crazy welder. So like when you have like a big
like this big crazy welder down here.
yeah.
Too much. I got too much when I bought the welder I have.
Yeah, because like you can't turn them down enough, and you'll blow through some of the smaller material that you're using.
So on that note, that's actually a good point. So when you are TIG welding, if anybody that's TIG welding is listening to this, for 16 gauge steel, I like to use like 80 to 85 amps. If it's mild, if it's stainless, I'll go a little bit hotter. And then like the 3/16, I'm running 95 to 100 amps on the machine. You can do the pulse. It's just the startup is a little bit weird. Comes back to the practice. But it comes down to patience too with that TIG. Everything's so small, so it's going to take a lot of heat. So it's almost like tack, 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 wait, let it cool, tack, 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 wait, let it cool. It's weird. It's almost like doing body work on a car. It's more like that than it is doing metal fabrication on full-size trucks that have 2-inch tubes.
Yeah, because I even learned that with some of the stuff that I've welded over the years, which is my setup, because I just have a Miller-Matic 140. It's a 110 welder, and it's got the easy set dial, so you can like adjust all the stuff. And you can set it to like what gauge, and you can adjust it to what you're welding on. But I've even had it at the wrong setting, and you're like, okay, let's put this little, you're like, oh, let's put this tube over here, or let's put this, sheet metal over here, and then you just tack it once, and you're just like, poof, now there's a big hole there, and you're like,
Yep, yeah, you've got to be on top of like your settings for the machine too. That's why I mentioned the different gauges. So like the 16 gauge. That's what I use for like the skid plates and like all of the bend and brace bumpers are 16 gauge. That's why I use that as the example. And then obviously the 3/16 is going to be easier. But then when you get into tube, if you're starting and you want to start and try tube, definitely braze before welding because it's harder to mess up the hard work that you just spent coping your tube and getting a nice joint. Whereas if you come at that with a MIG or a TIG, you can blow that away. It'll be very sad.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way, getting the different tubes, because back in the day when I first started venturing from the solid 3/16 rod to the tube, I didn't realize that what the number thicknesses were, and I was like, oh look, you can get this on eBay and it's cheap. It was like $36 for, like 4 sticks of whatever. And I was like, cool. And I ordered it and I didn't realize how thin it was when I got there because I'm not that knowledgeable with what that tube size means. I just saw it and I saw the price and I didn't think about it, and I was just like, all right, cool. And I ordered it and I'm like, wow, that stuff's really thin. So I had to turn down my welder a lot just to be able to tack those together.
Yeah, so if you're new and you want to do tube, definitely braze. If you are buying tube, you want to get 0.035. That's the wall thickness too. You can get it
Yeah.
from Stock Car Steel or McMaster Car. And I used to sell it, but I started getting like bent pieces on the regular, and it's like I can't sell it, and they weren't taking it back, so I just had to stop it. It's unfortunate.
that's
I'd like to
rough.
still sell it, but you know,
Yeah, that's really
bad
rough.
supplier. We'll see. Maybe hopefully I can find somebody else out here in Indiana. What else? Hey, if you're starting tube, you start with solid. Don't start with tube. It's cheaper.
Yeah,
It's
that's
easier.
probably-
You know, it's harder
Yeah.
to mess it up.
Yeah. Yeah. The only benefit, that's the one thing. Cause like what a lot of people don't realize is if you're skilled enough, sometimes when you work with the solid, if you bend it too far, you can kind of unbend it a little bit and you'll get it back to like where you want. Whereas tube, once it's there, it's there. There's no fixing it.
Yeah,
And
it's
you're like, all right, it's done. Next piece.
Yeah, exactly. There's some variant for bend back, and it's how you bend it back though too. Like I've had pieces where I'm like, oh, I think I can fix it, and I can fix it. And then there's other times where it's the same situation, and then there's a big like bow or a kink, and it's like start them.
Yeah. And then that's the other thing too. With like you can do this, like I started, everything was like primitive. I would just use a vise and a hammer, and or like if you had like random pieces of like pipe and stuff or something round that you could bend stuff around, and then you just take a hammer and you just pound it around there, and then like that would give you your basic shapes, and then you cut it off where you need it. I have one of those, what's it, oak and shield. I have one of their benders. I don't use it as much as I probably should, but I do have one of theirs. And then I also have just a normal 3/16 brake line bender.
Yeah.
So
I use one, I think it's by ABN or Alms or something, one of those. It's like $50-$60 on Amazon. But what's really cool about it is there's hard stops. There's hard stops for the depth of your bend as well as how much you're bending.
Oh, wow.
Now there's not degrees and stuff on there, but if you're doing like, you know, a roll bar or something where there's a left and a right, it's very easy to mirror it and bend it. And you're not bending them both at the same time. The issue with bending two pieces at the same time is the lower bar or the lower piece is always going to be bent more than the upper piece every time. Unless you have like the Northwest Scale Designs bender, but that is very sharp and pokey. I had one of those.
Oh, really?
I gave it away. That's how little I liked it.
Oh, wow.
But, and if you know anything about those benders, or if anybody's seen them, you know, they're not cheap.
no, his stuff's not cheap at all.
Those are very expensive.
I do want to get their ring roller.
I think we had.
That would be epic. I have like the Harbor Freight one right now,
I haven't
and I
seen that
welded
yet.
an impact driver to it, so I can just use my drill to spin it.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
But it gets kind of, the edges always get like a little shaving kind of on them. I've sat there and tried to like polish the rollers and stuff, but every time it gets a little weird and distorted.
Strange. Huh. We had one more question for you. Is SMS working on a long travel kit for IFS 2? Will it be 4-wheel drive? Rock Racing needs a capable 1.9 rig with IFS.
I totally agree that it needs one, but I don't know if I'm going to
Yes.
do it with the IFS 2. The way that as you know, I know Jay knows, the way that the IFS 2 is designed.
Yeah,
There's a lot more
it would be pretty
to consider,
difficult.
including the amount of room for your shocks. Because I don't know how close the Pro Line big bores fit in there, but I know it'll be tight.
It's gonna be tough. Yeah, because these are 10 millimeter shocks that come on the Element stuff. So yeah, I don't know. That's rough. I think that the
tight.
Pro Line
Everything's
big
real
bores
tight.
are
The corners
12.
are tight, but everything seems to be holding up. The Rockalope U-Tron that I built, I mean, I think I have a 4600 kV in there, and after I changed out all the bearings, or changed out all the bushings to bearings, I haven't had any issues with the drivetrain. So that gives me hope to pursue like a long travel kit to do U4 stuff.
Right.
That's what I did originally with the long travel for the IFS 1, is I made extended axles and stuff, but it just gets kind of expensive buying axles from Associated and then me cutting them and extending them, heat treating them, you know.
Well, and
It's like the
that
margins
kit
weren't
was a
super
lot
great
more
on it.
conducive too.
Huh?
Well, and plus the design of that first IFS setup was a lot more conducive to extending the width, whereas with
Oh yeah, it was
the
just
ball
super simple.
captures being molded, yeah,
Yeah,
with the ball
super
captures
easy.
being molded into the arms themselves on the new one, that's not really an option. So you're looking at
Yeah.
different arms completely. So yeah, it's that'll be tricky. It's hard to say. That'd
Beyond
be
like
quite a project.
consideration and napkin drawings, I haven't gone too far because I think I'm going to have to get some steel machined to capture
Yeah,
that ball.
it's
So it's like,
yeah, there'd be some CNC
or
work
change the
involved.
design so much that it doesn't look anything like how it is. And I don't think anybody wants that either. So a solid maybe would be the answer to that
That'd be a
question.
tough one. That's the safe answer, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the concept
Well,
is
we're
proven with the IFS one. You're literally just making the arms longer, so the
Mhm.
total travel will increase. You're
Yeah.
not going to change any of the geometry or anything. You're just literally making the tires go up more and down more. So it would
Right.
work, but I don't know if I could get it to look how people would want it and have it a good price.
Yeah,
that's the big thing
would
with
be
me. Is
tricky.
all of my products, I don't have anything that I wouldn't buy or price anything too high that I wouldn't buy, you know?
Right.
And if I see something
Which
like that, I don't think that would be my audience, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
It's tough. Pricing is one of those things that's like one of the most difficult parts of working in this business, because some people will spend an exorbitant amount of money on the strangest things, and then others will be like $25 for a sticker sheet. Hell, it's just it's so funny. You've just got like both extremes, and it's really tough to try
And
and
I don't know. My
dial in a
whole
price on something.
like business model is do it yourself, build your adventure. So
Right.
if I can give you the parts and make it cheaper, I'd do that over selling you a bolt-on
Sure.
system that's 3 times the price.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anything you guys want to, we're right at 2 hours. Anything you guys want to touch on before we go? I know there was the only like newish rig that I've noticed was the 6 scale laser nut. That was the only thing that I've seen released.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing I've seen released as well. Pretty much it's crunch time for getting ready for
looks more
Axialfest
scale
West.
than the 10th scale version does.
Yeah. Well, once you get to the bigger
I think after
stuff,
Axialfest, Adam will at least get to see some new stuff, right? I mean, they didn't launch anything at Badlands, but I didn't. Really
no, I don't think they're I really don't think they're launching anything. At least I haven't heard anything down the pipeline.
Well, last year they were walking around with the Pro Moto before it was launched. I thought that was cool, but this year there was nothing. I'm like, nothing.
That's weird because they didn't even carry that around at Axialfest West.
Oh, really?
Maybe they're a little more.
Well, I mean, Horizon's
a
couple hours away from Indiana here,
they might be a little more loose there, but like here, it's strictly axial. Like we always get the occasional. We got a couple people that whine and moan because they bring their they hear that it's Axialfest or they hear that it's an event happening, and then like they'll come and they'll have like their hermaphrodite rig or Frankenstein rig that they built, and it's like it's got element axles and it's got this chassis or it's got this and this transmission, and the guys are looking at it going, we can't tech this. Like you can you can't run this. And then they get all mad, and then they got to get on Facebook and they got to make a post about it. And it's like,
so the ruling out here, as best I could tell, it was based on the transmission. Because there was one dude specifically that came over to me and was like, do you have any tabs so I can shoehorn a 3-gear and take out my my scale transmission, like an SSD scale transmission.
So
and for some reason that was the deciding factor on his build. And
because
3-gear in for tech.
So even with axles, they'll let you run aftermarket axles as long as the internals were based on the axial design. So as long as it's got that style ring and pinion, that style axle shafts, then you're good to go. So like if you run an SSD,
that's always how I interpreted it, was axial drive line.
Yes, but that's where the scale SSD transmission won't work, because there's not one part about that is axial based. So you just can't run that transmission. That's why a lot of the Vanquish fanboys don't run certain rigs, because it's that transmission's not designed. it's their own design. So there's nothing about it that's close to axial. Like you can run, I forget, there's like, you can run some of the other rigs and they'll throw an axial in there, or they kind of let it go on some of them because, it's close, it's still got the 3-gear style. But yeah, so they turning down people, but last, like I said, they all get upset, but it's been in the rules for
A
eons
decade now.
Yeah, and it's like people still don't, get it. And I get it. For some people, that's also a deterrent why they don't go to Axialfest. They're like, I can't run this rig, or I like this rig much better than that rig, and I can't run it there, so I just don't go. You're kind of missing out. So
Yeah.
I say,
I remember when I went to Donner that year, the year that I went to Donner, some guy rolled up with the new Forerunner from Element. I was like, "What are you? I don't think you're supposed to have that here." I was like, who cares? I'm like, I mean, it's kind of a respect thing at a certain point. That's a complete RTR.
Yeah,
It's not,
exactly.
Yeah.
One thing running it around camp, but they just came back from the trails. It was just like,
Yeah, I know it gets hard, but I mean, it is what it is. That's that's kind of like the event that they put on. So follow the rules, or
exactly, yeah.
Don't show up. Don't show up expecting to be catered to if you're not going to follow the rules.
I don't know why
That's
that's
epic
so
about
hard
Proline
for
by the
people to
Fire.
grasp. I just don't understand that.
Yeah. So, but other than that, like I said, just getting ready. It's crunch time. Get ready for Axialfest. And yeah, that's about it.
Right.
I heard My Trick RC is going to have a new release at Axialfest. They got something. I don't know what it was exactly.
Oh,
Dan was
cool.
telling me, but more lights, cool lights. They got good
Yeah, I was
stuff.
gonna say, it's got to be lights because that's pretty much their bread and butter. So, there is one other thing. I mean, maybe I'll make it quick that I just thought of that we didn't talk about, but it's not really much to talk about. Shapeways filing bankruptcy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that impacts a lot of people in this hobby.
I heard about it from High Altitude Performance. Casey, he does like super light carbon, just bitchin' comp stuff in general. And Enigma axles. That was like his big thing that I learned about him from, or learned about before I knew who he was the Enigma axles. And it was through Shapeways. So I didn't really consider like how that was going to affect the little guys like him. Josh mentioned it in the Scale News update. He was somebody too that had files that were through that service. I was like, oh, this is going to affect a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, a lot bigger than most people. Like a lot of guys are just like, oh, just I think someone commented on our page. I'll just go to one of the Etsy printers. But I mean, it's like, it's still not, you can't get 3D printed metal and stuff like that.
They use very nice and expensive printers to get really epic prints.
Yeah, which is actually
I don't think we're going to get that,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there'll be somebody that can do stuff that's kind of close, but I mean, Travis has 2 of the bamboo printers, and even then, I mean, that still isn't the quality that Shapeways has. I mean, it's close, but it's still not quite there yet. So I don't know. This affects a lot of people. It's pretty crazy. Not something I expected by any means.
Do you think it was from especially like the bamboo, for example, just like everybody having a printer? Do you think that was a big killer of it?
I think that's part of it. I think the bamboo probably pretty.
Prints.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely do. The one bad thing that I always dealt with Shapeways was just how brittle their prints were. Like the quality was there, and you didn't see all the striations and stuff in it, but it just wasn't that durable a material. That white that they had that was coated in black. I think the bamboos probably have hurt them some because the quality is really, really close. Like the bamboos fall somewhere between a normal 3D printer and Shapeways. It's somewhere kind of like a happy medium. But the material's a lot more durable than what you would get from Shapeways. So, I mean, that's, I think, durability wise.
Now it's so easy to have like a double filament printer at home too. So that was one of the cool things. It was like an only Shapeways for a while, and now you can have squishy prints.
Well, Trav's bamboos do 4 colors each. It's nuts.
4?
I mean, just 4. It's wild. Yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting. There's definitely, I think there's still a market for it, but I mean, I can't imagine what their overhead was there. I mean, it had
Well,
to.
I think part of it also too was the price, because I remember at one point, like, you could actually get some of the stuff printed for a decent price, and you felt like, okay, I'm getting this, and it's not that bad. And then all of a sudden, they had that price hike, and a lot of people were complaining. They were like, "How come stuff I ordered like a month ago was $13, and now all of a sudden it's $23 for the same thing? Like nothing's changed. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
So-
pricing out like the Knights
Yeah, their
Customs
prices
for
were
the
very
for the
expensive.
Hilux or whatever that Toyota body was. And it was like $350 or $330 to get all of the parts. I was like,
Yeah, so much.
so
Well,
but-
before we took our service bed to Proline, that design, we looked into having it 3D printed from Shapeways, and it was $500 to have that utility bed printed through Shapeways. So yeah, we ended up going the Proline route.
yeah, but anywho, but yeah, that's, like I said, that was another thing. I
Well-
just thought about it.
Guess we should probably get jamming here then.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was good. I completely spaced that. Well, thank you guys. Andre, thank you for hanging out. Appreciate it, man. It's nice getting to catch up and hear about Axialfest Badlands and getting everybody filled in on that and what all you've been up to. And Adam was nice enough to share his hat with us, so that was cool. So anyways, thank you, everybody, and we will catch you next time.
All right, see you guys.
eh.